And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Today we're talking about the strange creatures, or the crazy creatures of Dr. Doom. Oh, sorry, Dr. Gloom. Copyright has dictated that I change that name. The Crazy Creatures of Dr. Gloom is a very light game. It's a very easy game as you're trying to play cards through a cyclical method. Almost like an advanced sort of Uno. Let's take a look at how it plays. Alright, at the beginning of the game you're going to put these four scientists in the middle, four different colors, and I guess they could have made the colors have a different symbol too, so that you could tell the colors apart. But be it as it may, you have a deck of cards. And in this deck of cards, there's four suits, and each suit has numbers 1 to 6 twice in it. You're going to shuffle this, and you're going to take 8 of those cards out and put them to the side in a reserve pile. Then one person is chosen to go first, and each person just begins. When it's your turn, if there's no card at one of the stations, you can just play a card at that station. So I could play a 5 there, I could play a 3 there, I could play a 5 here. Now, I cannot play a 3 on top of this 5 because there's a plus sign there. Because there's a plus sign there, that means I need to either play the same number or higher. So I can play a 6 on top of a 5. Now, 6s and 1s actually kind of loop to some degree. On top of a 6, I can play a 1. There's a symbol to show that. I can't play a 2 on top of a 6, and I can't play a 1 on top of a 5, but I can loop them like that. Now that there's a 1 here, someone else could play a 3. Now whenever you play the same number on top of one of these cards, then you have two options. You can take one of these cards and turn it over to minus, which means now all cards there must be played lower than this card. And again, if there's a 1 there, then you can play a 6 on top of that, because the 6 is lower than the 1. Now later on, when someone plays in the same number, they could turn this back to plus, and so these different cards can be switching back and forth as the game progresses. What else you can do when you play the same card on top of another card is you can force another player to draw a card from the reserve pile. So if, for example, there happens to be a red 5 here. That would have to be minus for me able to play that there. And then I played a red 5 here. I could say, Eric, you must take another card from the pile. So Eric grudgingly goes to the reserve pile, draws, and adds another card to his hand. Now, as the game progresses, it's very possible, and indeed it's very, very probable, that you will, when it's your turn, at some point, you're not going to be able to play a card. At that point, you have to pass. If everybody passes, the round is over. However, if someone plays their card, everyone has a chance to play one more card, and then the round also ends. When the round ends, people are going to look at cards that they have left in their hands, and these skull and crossbones will come into play, and that's how many points they get. You do not want points, because at the end of the game, whoever has the fewest points is the winner. The game has rounds equal to the number of players. Each round will start out exactly the same way. You'll flip all these back to pluses and start another round. Now, Crazy Creatures of Dr. Gloom is what I would call a casual game. This is the kind of game that I can sit around with some people and we can talk about something completely different while playing this game, because there's not a whole lot else there. I like this game, but it doesn't require me to use a good chunk of my brain. The name is a little misleading. Crazy Creatures of Dr. Gloom. The theme is pretty much non-existent here. Now, that's not a bad thing. I mean, card games have a hard time bringing their theme out anyway. But once you get to the point you realize, oh, this is kind of like an Uno-style game, except there's 4 different things at the middle of the table. And you can try to do different things, but there is a small take that element to the game where when you say, oh, you take a card, you take a card. Well, who do you pick? Well, you pick the person with the fewest cards. I mean, to do otherwise doesn't really make a lot of sense. So your main choice boils down, flip the card or give someone else a card. And in the long run, most of the time that's just a crapshoot. You don't know what is the better option. You don't know whether you should keep cards or not, and you know, they will come around to your turn and it doesn't matter what handful of cards you have. Not a lot more to say about this. This is going to appeal to families. It's very simple, very easy. I can take it or leave it. I call this an inoffensive game. If you say, let's play this, please, I'll say, okay. And I'll play it. But as soon as a better game starts, I say, hey, do we have to finish this? We played some rounds of it. It was fun, but we can leave it, and whether I win or lost, I don't care. It's more of a time-passing activity. And I know I compared it to Uno a lot, and you'll say, it's not very like Uno, but it gave me that same feel. Play some cards, see what happens, keep going. And if that's what you're looking for in a game, then this is a fun one.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.